Welcome everybody to the Knights District 5 United meeting. And tonight we have a Pacific West Properties presenting information about a proposed affordable housing project on Alum Rock Avenue near White Road.
So the Pacific Companies has several services and divisions within. We have real estate development, financing, architecture, construction, asset management, and captive insurance services. Currently, we have over 165 developments. We specialize in affordable housing, both family and senior, not only in California, but throughout the United States. Currently, we have over 10,000 units, about another 5,000 units currently in production. We also have 7 charter school facilities and 12 commercial assets. You want to give a little bit of background on AO, and then I'll take it over again.
Of course. Hi, my name is Joanna Mayati. I'm a senior associate with AO Architects. Our company is about 47 years old. We have 13 different studios, and we do anything from multifamily, mixed use, to retail and commercial spaces. And we're working with TPC for quite a few time. I want to say over 4 years right now, and we're working on multiple modular affordable developments like the one we will discuss today. And the design team, I am from the multifamily design team. You can see some of our projects. These are 2 of our podium buildings, 5/1. The one on the top left is Urbana in San Diego, and the one at the bottom right is Concord, California. Our multifamily group is doing anything from a 2-story townhomes all the way to podiums, which is 5-story type 3 over 2 levels of podium type 1. We are also doing a lot of wrapped buildings, like the one on the top right corner of the presentation. This is Vantis in Aliso Viejo in California. So the majority of our projects are located anywhere from San Diego all the way to Northern California. That's our expertise.
Thank you, Ioana. And also we have Pete Carrillo on with us as well, who is part of our team. I wanted to also show you guys what's currently existing there. So the address is 2880 Alum Rock. It used to be a sports bar and restaurant that has since been closed for many years and has been, I know there was some infractions while it was in business. So obviously what we're doing is going to completely enhance this property. This will be, as Ioana said, this is a modular construction project. We have 164 units with 7,000 square feet of commercial. Now, currently there's almost 8,000 square feet of commercial there. And part of the zoning at the bottom bullet point you see here, which is neighborhood community commercial policy plan IP-512, it requires us to substantially replace any type of commercial or retail that is existing. So therefore, you'll see the 164 units and 7,000 square feet of commercial we will be bringing. The unit mix is 92 studios, 58 1-bedrooms, and 14 2-bedrooms. This is a family project. Projects anticipated to be delivered, estimated in 2023 or 2024. It is a LEED Silver. And now I want to make everybody aware that modular is extremely efficient and sustainable, but it's not rated under the LEED program. So essentially, if it technically was, we would be most likely a lot higher than LEED Silver. There will also be 11 EV stalls and 44 bicycle stalls. And I mentioned about the existing commercial being closed and the zoning below policy IP-512, which actually allows the community buildings to go up to 120 feet with actually a lot higher density. We are not going that high. We are 5/1, total of 6 stories, and I believe just under 80 feet. Again, it is 100% affordable. Now, I wanted to make clear of the income ranges of who would qualify and what the parameters are. The income ranges to qualify to live in these units are anywhere from $34,800 a year to $119,360 a year. And the tenants that apply to qualify here go through a very rigorous background or qualification process. Credit checks, background checks, landlord references, income verifications, and these communities are audited by the state yearly. There will also be 2 on-site managers units, so there will be 2 managers there 24/7. And we also provide some on-site services, and as you can see here below, they're unstructured-led educational, health and wellness, skill building classes, financial literacy, computer training, home buyer education, GED, resume building, ESL, nutrition, exercise. And as you can see below, art awareness, on-site food cultivation, a myriad of different services that we offer at a minimum of 84 hours per year. And then you also have some additional health and wellness services, such as individualized support for tenants, visiting nurses programs, intergenerational visiting programs, senior companion programs, and those are at a minimum of 100 hours per year. So here you can see our site plan. We actually have 2 buildings and they're separated by the drive in the middle. These are both podium products. So you have parking outside of the buildings, but then you also have parking on the ground floor underneath the buildings. And let's see, the reason why we had to design it this way is, as you can see right here, these dotted lines that go around is actually a stormwater easement. So we were very creative. Ioana and Salvador did a fantastic job of breaking up the buildings into 2. So we're not building over this stormwater easement. Ioana or Salvador, do you want to go over the elevations?
Sal? I think you're muted.
I'm sorry, was that a question for me?
Oh,
No.
Salvador, do you want to
Salvador.
discuss the elevations?
I think.
There we go. There we go. Can you hear me now?
Okay. I was-
There you
Okay.
are.
Yes, so my name is Salvador Madero. I'm a project manager at AO. And in this project, we decided to employ an early modern architecture that combines clean, delineated shapes that pay homage to traditional architecture rhythms. We decided to provide a well-defined base that grounds the building along Alum Avenue and identifies the separation between commercial and residential uses. The retail front is defined by its arches and enhanced material through the use of brick. And the floor layouts are intentionally arranged to organically break up the massing of the buildings and provide articulation that gives gives us a successful flow of urban infill projects. We also provide varying roof lines that include the use of tiled roofs and varying parapet heights, as you can see in the other images as well. Here we can see more of that varying roof height throughout the site. And in the next image, we can see the variation in building articulation and the use of shade structures to provide shade and also visual interest throughout. And then in the final image, we can see more of that ground activity and the enhanced material on the retail portion.
Thank you, Salvador. And in closing here, so we've had a community meeting held in July. Our CEQA was circulated in August. Just so everyone knows, this isn't an SB 35 process. We went through the traditional process with the city. So a full-blown environmental was done. Nothing was bypassed, and there were no comments. And that concluded at the end of August, early September. We're having ongoing meetings with the community. I have plans to discuss transit with VTA, and we would absolutely love some input on the name. This community has not been named yet, and we would love to hear from you guys what would be best. So we're here to answer any questions. And again, we really appreciate the opportunity to share this with you, and looking forward to hearing from you. And by the way, while we're doing this, I have a computer behind me that is in corruption mode, and all my files are down. So I'm going to be taking notes. If there's anything I cannot answer, I will get back to Juan with the answers, and I'll make sure that gets circulated to the group. But hopefully I can answer all the questions here today.
All right. I am sorry to hear that. I hope your computer issue gets fixed and that everything was backed up.
Story of our lives, right?
All right. So that's a warning to everybody. Back it up.
Yep, exactly. Back it up, please. Don't do what I did.
So next up, we have a couple of community leaders, and I'll go ahead and let them announce themselves. So Jesse, could you go first?
Sure. Yeah, this is Jesse Haro with the Alum Rock Village Action Committee, otherwise known as RVAC. Thanks for presenting, Darren and Pete and Iana and Salvador. I just had a few questions, or more comments than questions. I think what we envisioned for the Alum Rock corridor is what I was hoping for that we did in that Alum Rock corridor is that we had an entire vision, an entire plan for the development. We realized, yeah, we've got vacant buildings, and the building you mentioned has had problems, and there's some other that have had problems, and we want to resolve that as well. But we've been really asking over the past few years for an entire vision and plan and design for the corridor, all the way to the back of Alum Rock. And so as a comment in general, and I really ask the city and the county and those that are in power to please give us a vision, a plan, a design, something that's going to give us the safety and the beautification that we so dearly want and deserve in this corner of San Jose. And as well as just, again, the ability to prosper economically and socially. We're a bit of a food desert. We're worried about traffic. Crime continues in our area. A lot of commercial crime recently. It's a dark area. It can get very dark there. The people work very hard, two, sometimes 3 jobs. And there's no, I guess in Spanish, recreo, a place to gather, safe, social place. Because if you have everybody in the apartment complex, how do they feel? Do they feel comfortable and social, and is there that freedom to sit on the grass or sit on a bench and chat or throw the ball around or things like that, just something that a community, needs to have, right? What we really want is we want to build a neighborhood along that corridor. And those are the things that I look for. I did get quite concerned because as you know, that Charities Housing approached, the community several months back with a project that's 300 feet from the project you're talking about, and it probably surprises you. I don't know if you knew that, but again, that's the result of the city, those in power, not taking this broader vision and executing with architectural designers and, like you said, environmental people and social experts to make sure that we build community, we build neighborhood, and we don't build projects and ghettos. So that's more of my comment. I do have some logistical questions, but
Can I answer? Give one answer to that comment. So about Charities Housing, just real quick, I was not aware. And in the short time since we spoke yesterday, looked into it, and from what I've heard, there's no formal application in. So when there's no formal application in, it's not really official. So I don't, that's all I've heard. I don't know if that's even 100% true. But you know, we're not Charities Housing. We're a completely different entity. We have nothing to do with them. Our community has nothing to do with them. And you know, we want to do exactly what you're saying. We want to create that vision. We want to be the start, the catalyst of creating that vision for Alum Rock. And we do have another approved project down the road on Alum Rock as well. And we're doing that on that side as well.
Yeah, I mean, Darren, and I get it. And it's the example of not having a guy like a Salvador or a whole team of Salvadors that are project managing the corridor, right? And deciding what matches and what flows best for the corridor. Right.
All right. Okay. Then next up, and Jesse, feel free to pose questions when we get to the Q&A portion.
Yeah.
You had some. So next up, we have Mary Valderrama.
Hello, I'm Mary Valderrama. I'm also part of RDAC, Alum Rock Village Action Committee, and I'm actually going to allow questions that are already being asked to be asked. So I'm not going to spend too much time.
Okay, then next we'll go to Ray Mueller, who is here on behalf of Senator Cortese.
I am here on behalf of the senator, and so I don't have a lot to present on this. This is not something that he legislated. When he was at the county, he did a lot of things in this realm, but this is not something that he is currently has anything to do with specifically as far as the decisions. However, he is obviously interested, not only because this is his area, but he lives up the hill and he's going to be having to drive through this to get to his house. So I'm going to be taking notes, obviously, for him. If there are questions for him, I will not give you fake answers or anything of that nature. I will, if I cannot answer them, I'll get them to you later. And I'll get notes from our meeting, from Juan on those, and be sure to get back to you. As a personal note, I live on the other side of this high school, and all of this is, as you said, a few hundred yards away from where you're building. I have significant concerns about the students and their safety. So I'm looking forward to hearing the traffic information, how we're going to be dealing with that, and not having enough parking. Those are things that are going to be important, especially with all these kids here.
Next, we'll go to Q&A, and I'll go ahead and start off. I have one question. You referenced an SB 35 process and that this is not one. For those of us in layman's terms, what's like the brief summary of what that is and what the regular process would be? Just really brief, just to understand.
Sure. So SB 35 forgoes all public hearing. It's a very streamlined environmental process. It kind of, you know, it's a pretty much a fast track to guide these affordable housing projects from beginning to end. I mean, it shortens it. I think on average, they're around 6 months in total. Whereas we've been working on this for about a year through the city, and you go through all the standard processes, application, commenting rounds, community meetings, planning commission hearings, full CEQA, all the studies that are required with CEQA, meaning traffic, sound, historical, that gets circulated, community comment, and again, the traditional planning commission at the end. So those are the two differences. SB 35 was designed for affordable housing projects to streamline the process and forego a lot of the more time-consuming events.
All right, thank you. Russ, can you go ahead and share your audio and or video to pose your question? I'll go ahead and pose a question from Sonia while we wait for Russ. Sonia wanted me to ask her questions. The first question is, will the presentations be shared with attendees? Are you able to share that to provide to others?
Oh, yeah, to forward you or my PowerPoint? Sure, no
Okay.
problem. No
Perfect,
problem.
thank you. And then Russ, are you there? I'll go ahead and ask Russ's questions for him. The first comment is, please ensure adequate parking is available for all tenants. There is no street or neighborhood parking available. I also have a comment related to that later. And then Russ also says, Please do not reduce traffic to a single lane. Alum Rock Rd backs up to 680 and is a stop and go all the way past White Road. It is a huge artery for the east side. There are no other roads. I definitely agree with that comment. And then Sonia asked that her comments be read. Let's see, I read the first one.
Hey, Juan, can Darren answer the question about the parking and the one lane before you go on to the next question?
Oh, sure. Thank you.
We have nothing to do with the one lane, anything that's not part of anything, any condition, or you're saying reducing it to one lane. Is that what you said? The question?
I think, I'm sorry, I actually have information related to this, and I think I got it from Angel, who happens to be on the line. At a charities housing meeting, and again, thank you for clarifying or making certain that it's clear that you are not charities housing, that that's a different project. Someone mentioned that Alum Rock Avenue would be reduced, there would be lane reductions, and Angel graciously cleared that up, and it turns out there are no planned lane reductions for Alum Rock Avenue.
Right.
In front of building.
Right. Okay. Got it. Yeah. We have nothing to do with any one lane happening there. As for the parking, we parked it as maximum as we could for the amount of space that we have. We have a very irregular shape. We have very limited space. Actually, the density of this community has been asked to be increased as much as possible, and we just couldn't. Because we parked it as much as we possibly can. We've added as many bicycle spaces as we can. And as I mentioned in conversations I've had before, these are communities that are in dire need. I believe the mayor has a goal of 10,000 units over the next so many years. In order to provide these units, we have, and tenants who really need to live there need to understand the operations of what they're moving into. A lot of people are going to have to understand, if I'm going to move in here and I get this amazing home at a below market, I have to start either riding a bicycle or taking public transit or walking. I mean, these are concessions they have to make. And under state density bonus law, in order to pencil a lot of these communities, they have asked to reduce parking and have electronic vehicle stations and have ride share, have promote as much public transit as you possibly can. So we parked it as many spaces as we can. We'll continue to look to see if we can add additional spaces and be even more creative. But right now we're maxed out at what we are providing.
Panelists can't actually put questions in the Q&A. How many spaces are there and how many units?
There's 164 units and we have 83 for residential, and we have over 20 for the commercial. So there's over 100 spaces there.
So the reality of this, however, is I'm a block away. Our neighborhood is where they will park. The school here is already causing us that kind of an issue because it was a middle school and now it's a high school. And you put two complexes right there, and I don't know how many more they're planning, we will not be able to park. So I don't feel that you're doing the best you can for us because we live here and we have to continue to live here. You're putting in a new building, which these people do need as well. But if you do not provide for them, they will find their own. So
okay, well,
I do have an issue with that on a personal level.
Understood, Raymond, and I appreciate the comment. And one thing, again, we are not this other community. We have no idea what they're doing. We have no affiliation with them. We can't speak to them. I don't know.
No. There are no other communities here yet. It's
Okay.
happened in the past. I'm saying in general.
Understood.
Speaking,
Understood.
any apartment that does not put in enough is an issue.
That's why we have 2 on-site managers that are there 24/7. If things like that happen, you can go to our on-site property management and tell them what's happening and they will rectify the situation.
All right, and then a clarification, Rolando Bonilla is a planning commissioner and is here to listen. He is not here to present information or answer questions. So if you see him there, just know that he's just here listening. Let's see. So I'll go to the next question. So Veronica Frosto asked, and I'm reading her question because I see that she's not available. With the new apartment complexes on their way of being built on Alum Rock Avenue, I would like to ask if any neighborhood beautification is included in the plans, as well as any plans for ongoing cleaning, such as street sweeping, garbage removal, and weed abatement for the area. I'm concerned that with the increased amount of population in the area, that there will inevitably be more of a need for city county services to keep the area clean and safe. Is there a plan in place? If so, what is that? And before I ask her, I think I live in the area, and I understand concern about more residents and not more amenities or services for residents. And I know that that's not your role, but I raise it because I think as you pursue this, perhaps the city, perhaps you could note to the city yourself that this is what you're hearing from residents. So for example, if Charities Housing has a complex and it's at least a couple hundred units, and who knows how many residents, if you have another complex, then to me, that seems to indicate a need for the city to devote more resources to this area. Perhaps there should be a little park in between the affordable housing complexes. Perhaps the city can invest to make sure that that is there. Perhaps the city can support the effort to find a new tenant and somehow make it viable for them. Perhaps a grocery store, right? That's what I keep hearing from people. Perhaps it could be a grocery store. Perhaps the city could help. I think in all of this, what is unfortunate is that there's a perception that the city is not more actively helping create a vision for developers like yourself that includes additional city resources to help make sure that what you provide, the needs of those residents and other residents are still met, that the quality of life is what everyone is hoping it will be. And so I just want to point that out because I too echo the need for more city involvement in ensuring that what is new to this area is part of a broader plan to improve the quality of life for all residents, including anyone in your complex, should that be approved. I'll go ahead and hand it back to you.
Absolutely. And I'm taking notes as you're speaking. So as we talk to some of the decision makers, these are things we can bring up. Absolutely. And you know, for us, we also have on-site maintenance. So we have 2 on-site managers. We have on-site maintenance. You know, we take pride in what we develop, and you know, our residents take pride in living there. So we want to keep it clean. I mean, we're adding landscaping to a place that has 3 dead trees. We're revitalizing that specific spot. So I think the vision, I mean, because you saw the before and we see the after vision, and I think it's fantastic. I think it does bring a lot of quality of life to the residents and activates that frontage over there.
If I could jump in for a quick second, I obviously cannot weigh in specifically on the project, given that it's coming before me in October, but I can answer the question that Ray just made. He had asked the question of how many projects slated for this part of town, of our city here. The answer is 5. We've got 2510 Alum Rock Avenue commercial project, 2880 Alum Rock Avenue mixed use. We've got 1360 Fleming residential, 101 South Jackson Avenue residential, and then we've got 1905 East San Antonio Assembly. So I just wanted to answer that question. And as far as the question about can the city do more, absolutely. I mean, the city should be doing more big picture independent of this project. I think we also need to remember that, you know, in 2013, then Councilmember Campos introduced form-based zoning, which completely eliminated a lot of the protections that the rest of the city has as far as land use conversations and the process. So I do want to thank Darren and his team for being here tonight, because under that model, they actually don't even have to be here tonight. So I do appreciate you being here. I do appreciate you engaging with the community. But yes, at the core of this, the council offices historically have the ability to create the plans, bigger picture plans, to shape them. In the absence of that leadership, in the absence of those plans historically, what you have is the current situation right now. So it is important to distill this particular project from what's not happening at City Hall and what has not happened at City Hall for, for the last 20 plus years at the council level. I think it's important to say that as well. So with that, I yield the floor back to you, Darren.
Thank you, Rolando, and that's very helpful. And look, we want to be. I'll have as many meetings as you guys want. I'm happy to continue conversations, do anything and everything that I can. And a lot of cities that I work with, I think they could say the same thing about me. And I really would like a name suggestion from you guys. But I'm available for more questions.
All right, Rosie Jacobo says, if the affordable housing happens, can that bus lane on Alum Rock be removed? Worried about more traffic right now. It gets backed up because of that bus lane.
Bus lane be removed. Okay, I will have to talk to planning about that, and I'm writing that down here.
And then Russ asks, is this project already approved?
No, it's not. It goes to Planning Commission next month.
I'll ask a related question. You noted that the charities housing project you weren't aware of because it's not been submitted. It's not an official project. I think that means in that your project is further in the stage at a minimum.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, from then that's what I've heard. I don't know if it's 100%, but what I've heard that there's no formal application submitted. And when that happens, when that doesn't happen, we're speculating, and it's a concept at this point. So once you submit a formal application, you're in the process. I don't know where they are. I have no idea, but all I know is we have Planning Commission next month. And when that happens, and when CEQA is complete, you're kind of at the end of the rope. So unless they're unfortunately, again, I can't speak to them. I don't know charities housing. I know of them, but I don't know anyone there personally. So there hasn't been any coordination. Honestly, yesterday was the first time I've heard about this.
Got it. Next question. Are the EV stations open to the public or only for residents in the facility?
Residents in the facility, and they're actually for the residents in the facility and for the commercial parking as well. Okay,
that
so
means
there's commercial EV stalls and there's
public?
residential EV stalls.
Are the commercial units, it sounds like, or the commercial ones would be open to the public essentially?
Yes, sorry. Yes,
Okay.
The commercials open to the public. The residential is obviously just for the residential. I apologize.
It's okay. All right. Guadalupe, did you want to ask your question live?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Juan. I have a couple questions. The first one is, where was this community meeting held on July 2021? And then, did you contact any of the neighborhood associations from the surrounding neighborhoods to show them or present them your project, and also to doing the outreach to the neighbors around? And my last one is, how many units of this building will be available for extreme and low income? I want the percentage, like how many they're going to be 30, 50, 60%. So I don't know, you have that information right now. If not, I would like to know.
Sure. So you'll have 10% of the units at 30% AMI. You'll have 10% of the units at 50% AMI. You'll have 50% at 60% AMI, and the balance at 80% AMI. So on average, they're typically around 60% AMI, but you have a mix from all the way down to 30, all the way to 80. When it comes to the outreach, so the city handles the outreach. They notice the surrounding community. I don't know what the distance is off the top of my head. I think it's maybe 500 feet surrounding neighborhood. They post it on their website, and they notice the community themselves. And so we had the meeting, this was a few months ago in July of this year, that we held the community meeting with the city. So the city has also a portal. It was July 26th to be exact. But the city also has a portal. Again, we have an approved project at 1936 Alum Rock called Villa del Sol. So we have a vested interest in obviously City of San Jose, but also Alum Rock. But there's a portal since then. And you type in your address and it tells you the community groups that you could reach out to. I've done this several times with the city. And when you type in our address, it doesn't pop up any community groups. When we did 1936, there were many community groups. I've spent a year and probably 50 meetings with the different community groups. But here in this location, it doesn't pop up one. So Mary and Jesse, that's another thing. You guys should probably contact the city to make sure that you guys are connected into that portal. I mean, are you guys aware of that portal?
No, in fact, I was wondering right now, Rolando, can you do that for us? Can you put RVAC in there?
The city knows we're here because they bring the stuff out and do the cleanups with you like every month. So it seems odd that the city wouldn't do outreach to RVAC for this building.
Okay, Angel and Rolando, can you answer that?
I could definitely submit your name to the planning department as a group, but to Ray's point, they know you exist. The question is, why haven't you been outreached to yet? Because absolutely they know you exist. I mean, Angel is on this call. He's representing the council office. That's clearly indicative of the fact they know you exist. But I, as we did earlier, Mary, getting a list, I am happy to make that submission to planning. However, at the council level, that needs to happen as well.
Orlando, we are in the same position. We have the Mayfair Neighborhood Association and we have the NAC and also this Plata Arroyo Neighborhood Association and the Sierra Neighborhood Association, that the immediate surrounding neighborhoods. And they don't post anything. And when I went to this website, we don't see our names there either.
Okay.
Angel can correct this issue because it's been annoying for us. Like
Sure.
we exist, but not acknowledged.
Well, I appreciate you letting me know, Guadalupe. I mean, again, you and your leadership in the group that you've been a part of for years. I mean, I know the city knows you exist. So I will, and I've had the privilege of working with you. I will personally send your information to the planning director.
The District 5 United call.
And we'll also have Angel do the same from his standpoint.
Okay.
Yeah, that should not be happening.
Yeah, and I would say, Darren, if you could share that information about where you expect, where you would look. I do know that the city's information is not always complete, and so if we can help them fix that for everyone, I think it's going to be helpful.
And it's a newer system. I mean, this just came around when we started processing this community. So I would say it's within the last year that this was developed, which is very helpful for us because, you come into a neighborhood, you don't know who to always speak to. And it was actually a great idea. So, and I'll bring it up to my planner as well.
Thank you.
Ray,
Well,
Mary, could you go ahead and go next?
I'm sorry, what was your question, Juan?
It looks like you have your hand raised.
Oh, well, I do have my hand raised because I know Darren, you talked about Charities Housing not having a formal application. Rolando, can you confirm that?
My understanding is that at the moment, an application has not been submitted. That does not mean they are not having conversations with the city. That does not mean that they are not attempting to. That is, what that means is that they have not, to my knowledge, they have not submitted an application. Now, I do realize that they had a series of meetings with this group and others, and the feedback was quite clear. So it could be possible that they're recalibrating or not, but at the moment, there is no, to my knowledge, no record of that application actually being submitted.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Ray?
Yes, so I'd like to find out, first of all, how many of the units will involve families with children in this building?
That's impossible to tell. So
Give me what is the plan? What is the idea? How many 2-bedrooms do you have?
so that's the, okay, here's the unit mix. Let me pull it up here.
Yeah, you missed that part, Ray. He went through that. It's 92 studios, 58 1-bedroom, 14 2-bedroom.
And as we all know, many families don't necessarily live in the planned spaces. So it is possible that there would be high school students. When was Eastside Union High School District approached? I mean, they're across the street. I'm sitting in their property. Actually, the principal just went by and she was not notified.
I can contact the high school. Not a problem. I'll put that on my
Eastside
notes.
Union High School District has a school here. Alum Rock School District has one on the other side, Lindale. And if you haven't contacted the school districts, I mean, those are our local groups because we don't have neighborhood groups in all these areas.
And I would assume they were noticed by the city for our community meeting because they're within a certain distance. I think they should be within a certain distance. So they might have been notified for a community meeting. I could check with them.
Most of the people on the call will say that I'm overly involved. I work for Senator Cortese. I was not notified of this building until I heard about the meeting. I didn't know that there was a second building going in within a block of the one we already heard about. So,
sure. And again,
and I live here in the blocks right behind the high school.
Sure, totally understand, and this is why we're having this meeting today, and we could have many more.
We're already past. We're past the community input point. That was last month, right? Wasn't the community input due on?
But this is the same. This is the exact same process that we did 2 months ago. So community meetings are meetings that we're having today, where we all get around, ask questions, get clarifications, and discuss. This is the same thing that we did 2 months ago. So we could have as many more of these as you want. Not a problem. This is information. I've got a list here of actually a lot of work to do, and this is fantastic. It's progress.
And that's what I wanted to ask you, Darren. Would you commit to providing another community meeting with this group or Guadalupe's group or any other group? I think it would be important for you because as these conversations evolve, there is tremendous value in the community seeing their input included every step of the way. But
sure.
So okay.
Absolutely.
And so the next question is Sonia, who asked it. I asked her questions for her, and the question is: the income range is pretty broad, 34,800 to 119,360. What is the breakdown in the number of units of ELI over VLI? And I don't know what those acronyms mean.
Extremely low or very low. So that's what I was telling Guadalupe. That's the percentage AMI. So that's the 30%, the 50%, the 60%, and 80%. And the income ranges vary because you have studios all the way up to 2 bedrooms. And it's whether it's a 2-person family or 3-person family or 4-person family, the income ranges change. So that gives you the broad of the lowest that will be in there to the highest that could qualify.
Is there could a slide detailing that be included in the slide deck that you will share? I think
sure.
Sounds like
you can, and that's all public information. But what I'll do is send you the actual document that shows all of the ranges with the income ranges for 2021. No problem.
I appreciate that. I think what we're hearing is that many residents were unaware. I myself wasn't notified, and I'm only pointing that out because then that's why we're having this meeting, and the information you shared, just so you know, will be shared with about 5,000 people. And so people will then know and not have to look for it. And I appreciate your willingness to provide that information. The next question, is this supportive housing with services, or is it purely only affordable housing? I am new here, it says. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's not supportive housing. I know that's what I believe Charities Housing was proposing. This is just affordable housing, family affordable housing.
All right. And next, Russ asks, is there green space on this site? Many families and children need an outdoor space.
Totally agree with you. Unfortunately, there is just no room, no place to have green space on this tight site.
I suspect that community members will be letting the city know that it is very important. And so I appreciate if you could echo that that's what you're hearing. And
Absolutely.
yes, about the other project on Alum Rock, and that was referenced earlier, so I won't bring it up. Carla Jackson asks, what are the traffic solutions? Will they be in place prior to completion? Will there be a police substation on the property?
There's no police substation that is required at the property. There has been a traffic report was completed, a part of the CEQA process. And anything and any implementation, any mitigating factors that are recommended in the report will have to be done at the time of construction.
All right, Veronica Frosto asks, with the new apartment complexes on their way of being built on Alum Rock Avenue, I would like to ask if any neighborhood beautification is included in the plans, as well as any plans for ongoing cleaning, such as, oh, this is very similar to the question earlier. Let me just finish reading it. Yeah, this is a repeat question. Russ asks, how many parking spaces on the site?
We went over that earlier. That's the 82 for residential and 20 for commercial. So there's about 102, 103 spaces.
For the residential, what percentage is that compared to the units? Is it?
It's a half a space per unit.
It's what?
1/2 space per unit.
Okay, so 50%. All right, thank you. Russ notes that virtually all residences have multiple vehicles. A number being provided is not acceptable. He notes that there are no large grocery stores or pharmacies nearby.
So
That's not true about the pharmacy. There is a pharmacy like 2 shops down from Peter's Bakery.
And also we have another 20 spaces for commercial that after hours, those spaces are open to residents. And another thing is we have 7,000 square feet of commercial / retail being proposed. Who's to say that a market or grocery store or pharmacy or any of those things will be actually planted there? So this is premature, and we're revitalizing and stimulating it. That could happen in the near future on site.
But Darren, are you going to like reach out to corporations to invite them to come and look at commercial sites like restaurants and I don't know, FedEx and whatever else?
I mean,
Absolutely. Oh, go ahead, bro.
No, and candidly, I think if you do it, that'd be awesome. But that is a functionality that I think we've talked about privately before that the city should and must be doing to attract the kind of economic opportunities that we're looking for. I know earlier in the year, Jesse, Juan, and I and other members of the community were begging the city to buy some of these vacant properties to bring in some business opportunities. But this is one that I think we should put into Angel's queue and say, hey, what are we doing to invite those businesses? And what are we doing to make it an economic worthwhile investment? We know we're worth the investment, but if the city isn't willing to step up and say that in the investment world, that says a lot. So I think it's important to bifurcate this. I think it is helpful if Darren and his group do it, but this is squarely something that must be coming out of City Hall.
Yeah, I would just add to that, Darren, I think that if there is something that Pacific West Properties could do that would residents would also champion would be collaborating on the type of businesses that occupy those spaces. I keep hearing groceries and other things, and so it could be an opportunity for you to provide something that all the residents have been clamoring for.
Absolutely.
Darren, I think the key is you've done this before from San Diego to Northern California. So maybe you could just let us know how that works, or because you've already filled mixed use retail in the past. So what would that look like for us?
Right. So this is exactly that. I mean, this is a blank canvas, and we do look for community input. And what happens is, we obviously have to get an approved project. So once it's approved, okay, you're at ground zero. Then you've got to get financing. So once you get financing, then you can kind of understand when the delivery date of this community will be. You know, if we get approval next month, and let's say we go for the first available financing, which is the beginning of 2022, you know, we get that financing, then it's, you know, a 15 to, I don't know, 18 month to a 24-month build. At the point of financing is when you can start going to these retailers and big names and say, hey, come look, we've got a finance project, we're starting construction, you know, come take a look. Is this a good fit? That's when you start bringing people over and start looking at what you're doing, because they want to make sure it's real. And we have a division within our company, which all they do is formulate and bring in that commercial component. So we've got a team ready to go that have connections to all of the different kinds of restaurants and grocery stores. I mean, the FedExes, you know, all that stuff. So we've got a team ready to go as soon, and they've been involved and even in the design phase, and we already have ideas on, because this is 2 floors of commercial. We have some ideas already, but you know, we would absolutely get community input and you know, do what's best for everybody and the tenants.
But Darren, you already have another building going up on Alum Rock. Is that team that you're talking about right now, are they reaching out to the corporations as we speak?
So that one's different. So that one only has 3,000 square feet, and we're actually giving that commercial to the community. So we've already talked to the Alum Rock Business Association. We've talked to local businesses, nonprofits even. And once we apply for financing, that hasn't started construction yet. We just got the approval on it several months ago. So once we get the financing on it, then we'll figure out who we're going to put in there. But we're giving that rent free to the community, that commercial.
I think that's wonderful. I think the way, and I appreciate that you've noted that you're seeking input. I think one way that District 5 United could help is if there's a survey of residents so that they could tell you the type of establishments that they'd like to see. I think that would be wonderful.
Absolutely.
I could speak a little bit before I leave, because I have a meeting that I'm 10 minutes late to, but before I leave, I can speak to that really quickly. One of the things on that particular project that I can talk about is that free community component. That came about through various conversations with community groups, including myself, in terms of us wanting to make sure that there was a community component there to help in the economic ignition of that part of the corridor. So back to the earlier point though, Mary, in my mind, I think Darren and his team have a role to play in that space, but equally the city has to invest a ton more effort and initiative to bringing in those businesses. But that was through those town hall meetings that we're having right now that came about. And before I leave, Darren, I just want to make sure that we're on the record here. I am asking again and requesting, are you okay with us having more community meetings with you on this topic as these conversations evolve?
Absolutely.
Okay, with that, thank you everyone. I have a meeting I'm 10 minutes late to. Mary, Guadalupe, I will contact you both offline so that we can get your information directly to the planning director.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Rolando.
And so again, it just seems like there's a lot of interest in community members wanting to provide their preferences. And I appreciate you willing to hear that and consider it. Go ahead, Ray.
Sorry. So I did want to provide some feedback, one of which is we have done numerous surveys through the regular routes of electronics and such that District 5 would use. The people that use the electronics say Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's is not going to come in on that building on that strip. And I think that we need to be cognizant of the fact that the people that live within 200 yards of that should be the ones that get the survey, not the people on the hill and not the people over in by my neighborhood. I'm removed enough. I will be happy to take the paper surveys out and deliver them to those apartments around there if you need that. As far as the idea that you're giving away 3,000 feet of space to the community and you're just going to pick a charity randomly, that to me seems like an opportunity to engage with the community. come up with finalists and let the community vote, or a brilliant idea, a fundraiser that everybody donates to the different charities, and the one that raises the most gets the space. They did that for the Gay and Lesbian Center, by the way. That's how they named it. I would love to have more conversations about that. And again, I'm just hearing about this. It's exciting. So I do want to go back to the fact that you want to have more meetings. I think that's brilliant. But the meetings we had with your other folks is we asked them to not do a 6-story building. We want them to come back with a 5. They came back with a 7 and said, oh, well, it's cheaper per unit, so we had to go bigger. And they cut the number of parking spaces, which we already said wasn't enough. We're saying there are not enough parking spaces. And before you even go back to the drawing board, you've already told us that there's no place else to put more parking spaces because of the shape of the property. So it doesn't matter how many times we tell you this at these community meetings, you're saying, talk to these people, this is what we got. And that's the problem I have here. You're talking about 7,000 feet of retail space and 20 parking spaces. A grocery store will have more than 20 people most of the time. Christmas, they'll have all 110 spaces. The planning for this is obviously not conducive to those of us who are in an urban sprawl area that require vehicles. We're not to the point where we are dependent upon our buses, and we're not going to be there anytime soon. A half a space per unit is not appropriate for this neighborhood. It would work downtown, but not here. So those are my thoughts.
Understood. And Raymond, the parking, I will constantly continue to look at it and see if there's anything we can do and be even more creative. But again, I'm being upfront with you and honest. That's as many spaces as we can fit on site. And then as for the commercial and all that, this is why, we've been doing that on our other project in 1936. Let's continue these conversations. And actually your input, the local input, is it's how we decide a lot of times on what we do with the commercial. I have the same thing on a community we have in Indio. We have a 10,000 square feet of commercial there, and we enlisted the community to tell us and help us actually even design it. Should we have the parking in front? Should we have the parking in the back? What would be the best in this location? And that's how we came to the conclusion. So I'm happy to have those conversations with you, further those conversations with you.
All right, so next,
Thank you.
I'll read Russ Dine's comment. He says, no green space. Now that's unacceptable. And I'll make a comment and then go ahead and promote people, the panelists. I did have a question early on. I saw the credit check for tenants, and I wanted to understand the impact. The reason is, I'm a firm believer in that everyone should have stable housing. And I wonder if that means that some people might be excluded because of past financial challenges.
There's programs they have for people if, say, their credit isn't that great. If they've had some great history with landlords, even though the credit is not great. And there's other programs. I'll talk to our property management office and ask them to give me some light on that, and I'll respond.
And that actually goes more for women than men, because women who are divorced, who weren't really fully engaged in employment, frequently get that end of the stick, and they try to apply for it and they just don't have the credit.
Sure.
So that is something that must be addressed, especially since the majority of your units are 1 bedroom and studio. So you're talking about people that are going to move in by themselves or with their 1 kid.
Right. Absolutely. I'll get some clarification on that.
All right, and I think in this area, there might be more people who've experienced financial challenges than in some other areas. And so I think, again, everyone deserves an opportunity, and I appreciate you hearing the feedback. And now there's Carla, if you'd like to share your audio and video. I'll give it a few more seconds and then I'll read it. Okay, Carla says, if there's not enough room for parking and green space, why not reduce the size of your build?
It won't make a difference. The way, if you look at the site plan, I can bring it back up there.
It's L-shaped.
Right, so you have two buildings. I don't know why my share screen, oh, there we go. There's no area where you can shorten the building or squeeze the building and have green space. So if you take off a portion of the building, let's say back here, you're going to lose a substantial amount of, and look, in Charity's a housing case, I don't know what their, parameters and what they're working with, but at the end of the day, yield of the units, these communities have to pencil. It's very important that we provide affordable housing, but at the end of the day, they still have to pencil. The city actually wanted higher density than what we're proposing. So to lose density will render the project infeasible, and it can't happen. So if you do that, and maybe if you didn't have commercial, you can provide that. Or maybe if you took a chunk out of the back end of the building, you would lose 20, 30 units. So unfortunately, we just don't have the space to do it.
Okay, and Monica asks, there's a new housing building going up on Alum Rock and King, another on Sunset and Alum Rock, another Alum Rock in Jackson, and now proposed on Alum Rock. And why are there so many units being built in just this area and not other communities within San Jose? Are you building as much in other San Jose communities as you are on the east side?
So I can't speak for the other communities. We have just two on Alum Rock. I know, but Ioana, you're working on others throughout the city, and they're not on Alum Rock. Ioana, are you there? Or even Salvador?
I
No.
cannot speak to this now.
Okay.
Yona had to leave to attend another
Okay.
meeting.
No
Sorry.
problem. But we have Ioana's working on other projects throughout the city, not just on Alum Rock.
Okay, next question. Sonia asks, what businesses has your previous developments attracted and have in place? Can you share your successes and challenges?
Honestly, I don't have, me personally, I can't speak to that because I've only have a few projects in planning. Now, mixed use is a kind of a newer zoning, and it's kind of newer for affordable housing to provide it. So I personally haven't had any experience with commercial mixed in with affordable housing. So these will actually be my first. And that's why we're actually taking that approach where we get all the community input of the local community. So we provide what's best for everyone around it.
All right, Russ says the city needs to understand how lack of parking affects everyone in the area, not only all of the residents, but also negatively affects the merchants in the buildings. Before you touch on that, someone else on the panel might be able to speak to it, but I know that James Lake parking lot is available during certain hours for the public. Is it also available in the evening?
Yes, in the evening. You might have weird situations where today
After 5.
the parking lot was packed today, but in general, if James Lake is not having an event, you do have parking there. And that's the only safe place to park, to be honest.
All right, and I think that's the solution. I just wondered a question. Okay.
And we did actually have a problem with folks parking their cars in this lot when the kids were coming back to school and actually living out of their vehicles. So there was some issue with that. So they've been very strict with it now.
And then Darren, did you want to speak to it?
I don't know what the question was. I'm sorry.
The comment was lack of parking spaces affects everyone in the area, not all residents, but it also affects the merchants.
Again, this is what I want to make clear is that this is why we have two on-site property managers. If there are people parking in other neighborhoods or in front of your home or anything like that, report them to our property management company and they will make sure that that doesn't happen.
This all ties into the big picture, Juan. This big project manager that your team should be looking at all of this down the corridor right now. That's what we're going to have to really push for.
Yeah, because there's a whole strip here.
Yeah.
Somebody has to be paying attention to the picture at large.
And Darren, what people are speaking to is that this is not for you to solve, but perhaps for you to echo that there's an opinion that the city could do a much better job of envisioning this area so that if they see housing here, they're thinking we must need a small park here and we need another type of business here for all the residents. And so it's just something that is rose to the surface because we're seeing a lot of development and wondering about how the needs of those residents along with the rest will be met. So let me see. Maria says, if this is community-based, why are you saying that the city wants a specific amount of housing units?
Because the city has housing goals and they have requests, and that's another reason why property is zoned a certain way. This property, this building on this site could go up to 120 feet. And since it's 100% affordable housing, state density bonus law allows it to go even higher than that, which we're not even anywhere near that. We're not even close to what that's required. And there's a mandate. I mean, the city is responsible to meet their arena numbers. And I don't know what that number is, but I can imagine it's in the thousands of units that they have to provide affordable housing over the next 6-7 years. The new arena numbers came out and you wouldn't believe the amount of units that cities a quarter of the size San Jose have to provide. So the zoning kind of dictates or is a kind of a guidance of what they want to see. And so, you know, especially when it comes to affordable housing, they want to see as many units as they possibly can because it's a crisis, everyone. It's an absolute crisis of people who cannot afford to live in market rate housing or homes. There's not enough housing. And this is what we're trying to do. We're doing our best to provide the utmost quality, managed as perfectly as we possibly can, and be a fantastic neighbor. And at the end of the day, providing much needed housing. You guys, everyone here in this call knows how important it is for affordable housing. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody's educated on who's going to be living there, because I do these community meetings all the time. I've been through, I don't know, 60 projects of planning commissions and city councils. And a lot of times people are saying, well, these are unemployed people, there's drug addicts, there's crime. That's not true. That is not true. These people have to go through very rigorous qualification processes. And in a lot of areas, there's waiting lists. I was at a city council a few weeks ago in our community in Palm Desert. There's over 120,000 people on the waiting list to get into a community, and they haven't been able to build an affordable housing community in 10 years. I mean, this is how difficult it's becoming, and it's getting worse. So, you know, we're doing our absolute best. It's very difficult to do without city funding. This project is not requiring any city funding, which is also unbelievable. So, you know, we just want to be a great neighbor, and I want to take all your vision, and I want to do anything I can to make it better. And that's why we're having this meeting, and I'm happy to do more.
In speaking about the people who will live there, I know, and maybe some others on this Zoom panel know, that we don't have enough families in this area. School district enrollment is dropping. And so I wonder, tying it into parking, the more multi-room units you have, the more likely you will have families, right? No guarantee. And the higher the ratio of parking spaces to units will be, right? And so is there a target for families versus single people? What can you say about that topic?
There's no target. At the end of the day, you just try to provide, you know, a mix that works in the buildings that you're designing. I mean, right now there's a monster need for every single one: studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's a wide variety of people. You can't say, you know, this isn't a targeted project. It's not a senior project, or it's not a, you know, what is it called? The one that Charities Housing is proposing. It's not homeless. This is just a family affordable community. So you're going to get a wide variety. You're going to get singles. You're going to get married couples. You're going to have families with kids. It's going to be completely mixed
Got
on
it.
all Income ranges.
Hey, thank you,
Very
Darren.
affordable.
I'm going to drop off, but thank you for doing this. And I'm glad, Juan, for organizing this because, you know, it was our way of trying to get to the community. A little disappointed in the number of participants, but maybe we'll have more meetings to get more people.
Thank you, Jesse.
Yeah, maybe the group should get a hold of the senator and have a town hall with the
I gotta
builders
go,
of both of them.
But yeah,
Thank you,
we'll have
Jesse.
more. Thanks, Darren.
Okay.
Thanks, Yana.
Thank you very much.
And then Mary, did you have a question?
Well, I wanted to make a comment. I just noticed in chat that Sonia brought up, how about having rooftop green space? Could you guys redesign your plan to have a rooftop green space?
Salvador, do we have room on, is it possible on our roofs to do any type of like a garden? You're muted.
Isn't the parking open? Could you just put something over the top of the parking?
It is the parking is not open. We pretty much have stacked units on top of the parking structure.
Right.
I believe for fire occupancies, I think the maximum that we can have is like maybe 750 square feet on a roof deck
Right.
with just one exit stair. So it would be that would be as much as we could get, I think, but I'd have to confirm.
Let's look at that, Salvador, because we did it on 1936. We have a small Alan at AO, Darpini, he designed that a garden area on the roof. I'm not sure with the way ours is structured if that's possible. Let's take a look at that.
Okay.
We'll take a look at that, Mary.
Yeah, Mary, thank you for bringing that up.
No, that was Sonia. Don't thank me. It was Sonia.
Oh, Sonia.
For bringing it up, and Mary for voicing it. And last two questions. Do any of the city decision makers live in our neighborhoods that are impacted by these decisions? I don't know if you would have that information.
The decision makers, meaning who? I'm sorry.
That's all there is in the question.
Oh, I don't understand who the decision. Are they talking about on my end or the city's end? I'm not clear.
We'll go ahead and move on from that question. And he says the city of San Jose. And
Are the city of San Jose decision makers, do they live in the area? Is that what you said?
that is what Russ is asking.
I have no idea. I mean, the decision makers at the end of the day are planning commission. That's Rolando and his counterparts. Those are the decision makers. So I don't know where they live, unfortunately.
Oh, so this will be, and I think that's important information. So this will be considered by the planning commission, not by the city council, for example.
No, planning commission.
They're taking advantage of the expedite.
So it goes to planning commission and they have to vote on it on a land use basis. So as long as we meet land use, they have to approve the project.
All right.
If you have a question, if you don't have enough space for parking and enough space for green space, why don't you reduce your build?
We can't, unfortunately, because if we reduce the build, the project will be rendered infeasible.
It
Well,
will be too much of a cost
I'm
per
okay with
unit,
that.
correct?
I'm okay with that.
I understand that,
I really-
Carla, and I totally appreciate that.
I really
And that's
don't
what we're
want you
doing. You don't want the
So-
building. Okay, understood. And look, you're entitled. You're absolutely entitled to your opinion. But there's a lot of families who need it. And so then this is why we're having our meeting. And that's a proven fact. It's a proven fact that there are thousands and thousands and thousands of families who need the affordable housing. But this is why we're having the meeting. You're absolutely entitled to your opinion. And I've got a lot of stuff here to try and improve it. And one of it is potentially doing a green space garden on the roof. So this is very productive.
So that we know, and we're just about at the end, what are the next steps for you in the project?
So next step is our planning commission hearing, and then after that is financing. So once we finance the community, then construction starts. So we're at the end of the process with the city. Those are really the next steps at this point.
And when will it go to planning commission?
October 27th.
Oh, okay, so about a month away. Really appreciate you coming out, and Ray put his email address in the chat. Ray, did you want to share that with others?
Yeah, I did. I want to share my email address because I do think that this could be an opportunity for the community to reach out to the senator and ask him to take a leadership role of having a town hall with a larger audience, a larger draw of the two builders maybe at the same time. He could potentially get them there at the same time. We could have a bigger conversation. Maybe even get the planning commissioner and the city council members. If anybody was interested in that, email me and I will present it to him. And we are looking for ideas for those sorts of things. The town hall on the Alum Rock build would be a brilliant idea, I think.
All right. Darren, when I do share the video via email and otherwise, should I provide contact information for someone on your team for any questions? Because it looks like I'll provide Ray's, and also Angel provided his contact information. Did you want to do that as well?
Yeah, you can provide my email address for contact information. Absolutely.
All right. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. And I will see you next time. I hope you all have a wonderful night.